Hey everyone, Julian here, and today we are doing a video on introducing Swordcraft for people that are new to the game or coming back after a while. I hope this video and this series, which you can check on my channel, I've done Forest already, can help you guys in choosing a class to start with or really invest in at the beginning of the game. So Swordcraft, of course, is also named Royal in Japanese. That's one thing that I forgot to mention in the Forest video is all of the classes are named different things in Japanese, and I would say the Japanese names make more sense for the class because Royal, you'll kind of see there's a lot of royal stuff and soldiers and everything like that. And same with Forest, it's called Elf in Japanese. And I think that, kind of contextualizes things more. Especially like sword is like such it's an item, right? But anyway, let's get into Sword. Sword is my favorite class, so I'm going to have a lot of things to talk about and a lot of sort of details, so I hope you guys enjoy the video. If you do enjoy the video and you want to see more of these type of videos leading up to Worlds Beyond, and of course, once the game comes out, please subscribe and maybe even leave a like and a comment on the video. That would really be awesome. I love seeing all the discussions we've been having in my videos so far. It's really cool to see people, get excited for this game like I am. So anyway, let's get into it. So what is Swordcraft? Well, Swordcraft is a deck that's very focused on wide boards and values. So wide boards aspect is you have a lot of cards, which we'll talk about here soon, that generate either tokens like these. This Knight and the Steelclad Knight are tokens. These are not cards you can actually put in your deck, but these are cards that get spawned from other cards and stuff. And they are the sort of token, and they're just like represent like the soldiers that get summoned on the field, right? So there's going to be a lot of cards that are like, hey, summon 2 knights, right? And it's like, okay, that's a very wide board already. Of course, in this game, a board is 5 slots, and you can't play things over a board slot like in a card game like One Piece or something like that. It's just once you're full, you can't really play anything else down onto the board. So yeah, and then the value aspect is sword always touches the ceiling or breaks through the ceiling of how good a card and how much a card can do for its play point cost. So what, and we'll show that soon, but all of Sword's cards are just going to be doing a lot of things and very well statted, and that's sort of Sword's identity is this like board-based game plan with cards that either generate a big board or do so many things that it's like, wow, this is just, this is impacting the board in a large way that a lot of other classes cannot do in one card, if that makes sense. So let's show some examples. So first card, the sort of iconic like board fill. This was a basic card. I would be shocked if we didn't see a Floral Fencer in the basic set for Sword or something like this. It's a 4-mana 3/4. When you evolve, you summon a Knight and a Steelclad Knight. And then on the right here, I showed some other examples of similar cards in other sets. So Frontline Cavalier was a card that came out way later. It was a little different because it summoned 1/2s instead of a 1/1 and a 2/2. But every time you summoned an officer, which is a trait, you healed 1. One thing to note is it seems like the officer and commander traits are gone pretty much from the game in the next game. Sword, thankfully, we have some cards to show you from Worlds Beyond, which we'll talk about in a second here. And you'll kind of see a lot of the officer and commander traits outside of the tokens are gone. So we'll kind of have to see how that plays out, but I don't want to really focus on the traits, even though that was a kind of big deal in the original Shadowverse game. So yeah, so here's just an example of these kind of mid-game board fill cards. So next card, this is the example for Worlds Beyond that we've seen, Zirconia, and as you can see, she's a 4-drop 4/4. And then when you evolve, you summon 2 knights, which are 1/1 still, and you buff all your other allied followers by +1/+1. So this is a very strong version, if we compare it to the Floral Fencer, right? Flow Fencer summons a knight and a Steelclad Knight. This one summons 2 1/1s, but they get buffed to 2/2s. I did just realize I said, like, oh, we're probably going to get a Flow Fencer, but this is our Flow Fencer. Like, I doubt we get, like, Flow Fencer and this, but who knows. So that's the sort of mid-game board fill archetype that we see of cards in Sword. Next type of card is the late-game board fill card, and this was best represented by Arthur. There's a couple other cards in the game's history that did this, but this is sort of the iconic one. Arthur, Night King, 7 drop 2/6. Fanfare, randomly put different Swordcraft followers that cost 2 play points or less from your deck into play until your area is full. So, of course, that means usually summon 4 if your board is empty, right? Because he takes up 1 spot, and then there's 4 spots left, so you summon them. He was a really interesting deck to build around because since it's random 2 costs or lower, you can only put like 4 different types of 2 costs, and you'll guarantee get those and stuff like that. There was a lot of interesting, choices in what 2 drops am I going to play and stuff like that. Another aspect of this card was it kind of empties your deck or thins your deck, right? Of these, like it's turn 7, so you play him. You get 4 2 drops out of your deck, so you're more likely to draw your other late game pieces. And yeah, so this is a very interesting card, and we already have a very close comparison to him in the new game. Amelia, Lucksteel Paladin, 8 mana 6/6, summon 4 copies of Steelclad Knight, which are 2/2s, and then whenever an allied follower enters the field, give it +1 attack, rush, and ward. If you want to see more of my thoughts on this card, I did a video talking about all of these Sword cards that got revealed a couple weeks ago. This card is nuts in my head, right, without playing the game. But yeah, this card is very, 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 very strong. Little different from Arthur, right? This is just doesn't play from the deck, but it's probably more valuable than Arthur. So next card or next type of card is we're going to kind of talk about these value cards. This is a great example. Lux Solar Lancer, 2 drop 1/2. Fanfare, put a random commander card. That was a trait back in the day that costs 5 play points or less from your deck into your hand, and then enhance 4, which means you can play it for 4 mana or 4 play points. You put a random, then, so you do this additionally, put a random commander that costs at least 6 play points or more, or at least 6 play points, that'd be so more, from your deck into your hand. So this was a great consistency tool, and we see a lot of those in Sword. The other example I have, which is probably the more iconic card, is Aether of the Warrior Wing. She was a 3 mana 2/3, and when you played her, she put a card into your hand that was basically whatever your play points were at +1. So if you played it on 3, you get a 4-drop sword card, and if you played on, say, 7, you get an 8-drop sword card. So it's very it stabilized the deck very well. So these are 2 examples of these like sort of value cards that help the consistency of the deck. But you see, like, these are pretty well statted cards. These aren't like just like we see some other cards that are like 2 mana 1/2 draw card. This is like 2 mana 1/2 draw a specific card usually, so pretty cool. Next type of value card is Amelia with the E. This is pretty much my favorite card of all time. I think this is a great example of it just has everything Sword does in a nutshell. So it's a 5 drop 4/4. Fanfare, randomly put 2 different officer followers from your deck into your hand. Of course, back in the day, officers were a trait. In a hand 7, which means you can play it for 7 mana or 7 play points. Gain the ability to evolve for 0 evolution points and gain the following effect. The next time this follower takes damage, reduce that damage to 0. That effect is now called Barrier in Shadowverse Worlds Beyond. And then on Evolve, you subtract 3 from the cost of an officer follower in your hand. So this was like everything Sword like does, right? So it's super high value because it draws you 2 cards. It's still like pretty fully statted. It's not like exactly fully statted, but typically a 5 drop is a 4/5 usually in this game. So 4/4. Then on Evo, it's a board fill, right? Because you play a 3 cost or less officer follower from from your hand that you either drew from her or whatever. I also love that this card enabled some very interesting deck builds of, hey, I only want to play like 2 officers, so I guarantee draw these 2 cards off Amelia. There was also a card called Gelt that came out with her, who he when he died, he drew you a commander card. So you could do some really fun deck builds where it's like Gelt gets Amelia, and then Amelia gets Gelt and another officer follower, and you're able to like loop that. So yeah, Amelia's very cool, and thankfully she's in the new game already. Amelia Silver Captain, a little bit different but very similar idea. 6-drop 4/4 fanfare, draw 2 Swordcraft followers. So of course you can see that they removed the trait. She doesn't have the commander trait anymore, and she's not drawing officer traded cards anymore. She's just drawing 2 Swordcraft followers, and then recover 3 play points. And then Super Evolve, give all other allied Swordcraft followers on the field barrier, which of course is the effect we talked about with next time this follower takes damage, reduce that damage to 0. This card is very, very, very strong, and Sword is looking to be like the archetypal mid-range sword that we've seen in history with all these value cards, these draw cards, and of course we have like the classic board fill cards, and we have the mid-game board fill cards as well. And that's just from what we've seen so far. We still have a ton of other cards to see for almost every class, but Sword, we've seen a good amount of cards for this class. So next card, it wouldn't be Sword without talking about Albert Levin Saber, this sort of iconic Storm card. Storm, of course, means you can attack immediately, or like you can attack when you play this card, including the opponent. So there's another keyword called Rush, which is you can attack other followers when you play this card on the same turn. But Storm is sort of the aggressive version, right? So Albert always gets reprinted. He's almost always a 5-mana 3/5, 5-drop 3/5, and this is the original version. But he's just sort of one of the iconic Sword Storm just like pieces. So yeah. Next, I want to give you some example decks. Of course, on the left here we have the original Arthur Sword, where you have 4 different types of 2-drops. All of these 2-drops are very strong. Blade Rat. Oh, I'm sorry. Preface this. These names aren't correct in English because I was trying to find lists, and I only found them on Japanese websites, and the Portal website, which I hope gets a new update or something, is not very good. So when you click English, it doesn't put it back into English. So a lot of these are auto-translated names. So if there's any names, like I already see a couple that are like not right, I'll try to correct it. But Blade Rat is, I forgot the exact name of it in English, but it's a 2-drop 1/3, and then whenever something dies, it gains an attack, or it gains +1 attack. Cuchulainn was a 2-drop 2/1 rush. Holy Bear Knight was that's wrong because it's supposed to be Night K, not night as in nighttime. Was a 2-drop 2/2 ward, which at the time was like that's pretty good stats, And then of course Celia, which was she did nothing as a 2-drop, but she was a 5-drop enhance 5, and she did a bunch of things. She filled the board with a ward and a 1/2, or her other version, because this was when they were doing choice cards, was you could turn her into a 5-drop 2/4 Storm that picked everything from your board back up, and then you gain attack equal to the amount of stuff you picked up. Very fun card, very iconic Sword card, and you can see she's in 2 lists here. And then of course we have Arthur. We have a couple other, classic Sword cards, the Luminous Mage, which I do believe we're going to be getting in Shadowverse Worlds Beyond, because we've got the Luminous Knight already, and they're sort of like a group. And then Sky Fortress as like sort of the finisher. The middle deck is basically my favorite deck of all time. it's the what era was this? Like Steel Rebellion mid-range sword. So you have you can sort of see like some of the pieces from the original Arthur sword. Like you still have the chromatic duel, which is the one drop, and you still have the Celia, of course, which is a very strong. What is the name? Commander of something, but that's Celia. Um, but you see some of these new cards, like Leisha, who's one of my favorite cards, Latham, who was the big the 8 drop that was sort of the game ender for that era of sword. And then one of the more iconic sword characters that was a Shadowverse original, Octress, or in here it's Octolus. She got reprinted a couple times, and I bet she's going to get a card at some point in Worlds Beyond. But she was just a really high value card where you could steal you could copy a last words effect from an opponent. So that was very strong. And she was like pretty well statted 3-drop 2/3, and she had some other effects as well later in the game. But this is just such a very fun deck and a lot of just high value cards, right? That's what we were kind of talking about. I would say this leans more into the high value aspect of Sword rather than the first deck with Arthur, where it was very board fill, and that was the goal. But yeah, and then the deck on the right, we jump years later. This is one of the last sword decks ever, basically. Is, what do you even call this? Like Loot Sword with Barbaros and Rogers. This deck was absurd. This deck was really, really, really strong. Basically, what you do is you have a lot of these cards like the Deep Sea Scout and all these like pirate-looking cards, the Tidal Gunner, the Stormracked. What was his name? Stormracked First Mate or something? And they give you loot cards, which was actually Octress's first. Octress first introduced the loot cards. They are these 1-drop spells that you get randomly. And they just do like sort of very small effects, like 1 mana deal 1 damage, or 1 mana heal 2, or 1 mana give rush, and then the last one was 1 mana give +1/+1. That was like one of the better ones. And basically the goal was you just play a lot of these loot cards. You can fuse them into Barbaros, the 4-drop down there, and then she comes down and does a ton of stuff. And you burn the face a lot, because then you get these other token cards that deal 3 damage. A lot of people like Barbaros. I believe she's like really popular in China, I think is what I read. And she's one of the later cards from or characters from the Shadowverse, an original character. I think China's getting a leader of her, so that might like hint at like the fact that we might be getting her early or like in the first set, but we'll have to see. But yeah, those are some example decks. Of course, like I say in all of these videos, we have 7-8 years of history of Shadowverse, more than that. These are just example decks. These are not every deck ever, or every good deck ever either. And especially there's so many decks that I'd want to talk about, but wanted to show a wide range of types of decks. So yeah, I think play Swordcraft if you like board-based gameplay. Swordcraft is usually aggro to mid-range. That's one thing that I forgot to mention in the Force video is Force is typically combo and control. Sometimes it gets some aggro decks, but usually it's like a combo control deck, and sometimes it's so combo and you win so fast that it feels like an aggro deck, right? Latika, is iconically, you want to turn 5 with the like unnerfed Latika deck. Another thing is Swordcraft is very typically very simple, and it's very easy to learn. You're just playing high value cards onto the board, and you're trying to control the board, as in just have your board is better than theirs. Not necessarily like a control game plan where you're just trying to wipe their board every turn, but just you have the board superiority, basically, right? Yeah, it's a very fun class. It's my favorite class. I will say I think a lot of people sort of joke about that it's like very easy or brain dead or whatever. I think a lot of, especially those decks I showed you, do really have some thought to it, and it's simple and you can win by just having like a basic game plan. But there's a lot of situations where your knowledge and your experience with the deck in the class will really come up. My thing that I always think about is in the heyday of Shadowverse and Sword. If I ever saw someone with the Percival from Grand Blue leader, I was cooked. Like that was the leader you play if you are like God Sword gamer, you know. So, but yeah, thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video. We have a couple more classes to do. Runecraft will be next. If you watch this whole video, dropping a like and subscribing would be really awesome, and I hope this video helped you. One thing I want to ask you guys in the comments is, of course, we're going to be getting to Abysscraft, which is the combination of Blood and Shadowcraft. And I'm not really too sure how to do that video. I was thinking I just talk about Shadow, like how I do this video and the Force video, but I do Shadow and Blood in one video and then sort of talk about how I think it'll combine and use some examples from Evolve. But if you have any other ideas of how to do, or what you guys would like to hear in the Abyss context, let me know, because I can definitely do that. But yeah, thank you guys for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye-bye.